Hey, welcome to Geeky Faucets. I'm Amy Dale.
And I'm Christine Lucas-Savage.
And this is episode 48. And today we're going to talk about TED Talks. Dun, 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 dun. TED Talks. Well, before we get into that, first, we have to remind you about our Galaxy Fest contest that's happening. We have passes to give away, and we would love to give them to you. So make sure you check out our Facebook page and share the link and comment below that you did. Under our link on Facebook, comment and say that you did, and we'll get you in the drawing, and hopefully you can win some passes, because
Galaxy Fest is what, February
21st through
1st to 23rd.
Yeah.
So we have a little while yet, but it's never too early to start planning and share away so you can ensure your chances of getting a pass. So
yes. And possibly more than one pass.
Yes, because we are not lacking in passes to give away.
Yeah, so that'll be super fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so TED Talks. TED stands for Technology Entertainment Design, and apparently, when I was reading about it, they started in 1984.
Wow.
I had no idea. That's crazy.
I thought this was a new thing.
It was a conference, apparently. It's been a conference since 1984, apparently, from what I read. But the website didn't launch until 2007, which is when I feel like it started really taking off, because then all of a sudden they're able to share their ideas.
And it's easier to get
on
to
the
and
internet.
stuff. Yeah.
So I have been obsessed with TED Talks for a really long time. My husband went and did a program with Seth Godin, who's one of the guys who I'll talk about who does a TED Talk, and he actually got us. We were subscribed because you can, like, if you go to one of the things, you can get subscribed. It's really expensive, not like Loot Crate. That's affordable. It's expensive, but you get like a monthly package, and everything in the package is wrapped in parcel paper, like brown paper.
Interesting.
And it was like books and CD. Like, we got a Jamie Cullum CD one time, which I don't know if you've listened to Jamie Cullum, but if you haven't, holy deliciousness. It's like Michael Bublé except British and better. Oh, sorry. Hope that didn't hurt your feelings, Michael. But anyway, it's so good. Anyway, so they just send you, and they send all these books about design and just like amazingness.
That's so cool.
So we got that for a year, and that was like way my happy place, because it was just really awesome stuff.
And it's probably just not the bottom of the barrel crap either. They're probably sending you like the good stuff.
It was really awesome.
Yeah,
I'd love to be
awesome.
subscribed to that forever. But I also got, one of the things I got was like the discs for that year of all the TED Talks, and they are just so amazing. TED Talks are amazing because they're short, but they get like the most amazing thinkers in. And
they think, like, it's like people thinking outside of the box kind of thing, and just sharing their ideas, which are different and sometimes like rule-breaking ideas kind of a thing. But it's so, they can be extremely motivational.
Yeah. So their little tagline is ideas worth spreading. So if you have not heard of TED Talks, there's actually a TED app you can get on your phone, and you can watch their videos on there. You can find them on YouTube. There's a TED website that has them on there. It's just a really great. And it's great if you have kids too, because there's a lot of really interesting. They've
even had kids to do TED Talks too. So that's kind of cool to have your kid see a kid talking in front of this huge audience about stuff.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we're gonna talk about some of our favorites, or some I asked on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page recently, what people's favorites were. So I'll get to that in just a second. I know the ones that I've mentioned before, J.J. Abrams' The Mystery Box, I've talked about before. That's a really good one.
Could you imagine, because I was thinking about that as you were showing this box here.
Yeah, my Loot Crate.
So let's just say, because the whole J.J. Abrams things was, he got this mystery box from a magic shop it was?
I think when he was like 8.
When he was 8, and he's never opened it. And if this came in the mail, and it was for J.J. Abrams, would he actually open it? Like, how could you contain yourself? It's a black box full of good. It could be Pandora's box, or it could be a box of rainbows. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I couldn't not.
And he didn't open it.
Yeah, no.
Like, the self-control to do that is completely foreign to me, because I have no idea. But no,
I ripped into that baby as soon as I got home.
Right, because you're like, oh my gosh, surprise!
Yeah.
Yeah,
the mystery
that's
box
just
does not remain mystery for long with me, but that's a really good one. So if you like J.J. Abrams, and if you want to understand more why he does what he does and why he loves mystery, this helps.
That's it.
Also, another one I loved is called How I Harnessed the Wind, and it's by William Do you want to try that?
Kamwamba.
Kamwamba. And I don't know if it's the best TED Talk. Like, he's not necessarily the best presenter, but the story itself, and I read the book that went along with it, which is called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And it's about, he was just a kid in Africa in a very rural and, not civilized necessarily area where there was just a lot of poverty and there had been a lot of droughts and famines and all this stuff.
I remember hearing about this one.
They had a library that had like 4 books in their town, and he went to the library and he found a book about windmills, and he went to the dump and made a windmill and powered his house. And then he started making more in his town and I was like, that is so
it's amazing.
The
ingenuity
and
in
awesome.
some of these people. I don't even
loved it.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, let's see. Oh, my daughter. So there's one called Pleo the Dinosaur, which we watched when my oldest was probably 7 or 8, and she loved it. It's basically about robotics and making this toy that it's, I think, the same guy that invented the Furby. And so he created this toy that kind of responds, it's less like, it's sort of AI almost, where it kind of responds and changes, and it's really interesting. But that's a really good one to watch with kids because it really will get their mind thinking about like what they could invent and what they could think. Like she wanted to be a robotic engineer for a really long time after watching that because she was like, that is so
I'm going to create an
cool.
artificial My Little Pony.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then one that I watched recently is called Hack Schooling, and that's probably one you were referring to with the kid. Well, one of the ones anyway. I don't know. But
with what kid?
The kid talking. It's like a boy.
Yeah.
It's like 13 or something. And
no, there's even younger kid.
Oh, really?
I think I've seen, yeah.
So anyway, this is called Hack Schooling, and it's about how he basically got out of public school and started doing homeschool, but not just typical homeschool, more like he schools himself. And it's a really good, interesting talk, and kind of makes you think about education a little bit more. So that's another one you should look up. If you're interested in education, that one. And Ken Robinson does one called How to Escape Education's Death Valley, which is very thought-provoking too. And it's really, really good. He talks about the American education system and how and what areas they could improve and, that kind of stuff.
Speaking of education, so I was looking up TED Talks the other night, and I found some that, because the big TED thing took place in Seoul, South Korea, and I'm like, they have Korean TED Talks. And this, I know, right? If anybody could find it, it'd be me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I listened to one. He was talking about art and how just, you're born with the ability to do art and stuff like that. It was actually kind of cool.
That's awesome.
It was very, very cool. Just talking about how kids will just do art all over the place. Nobody ever told them they can't do art. They just do art all over the place. They don't care. So it's just really cool how to just do art all the time. I don't remember the guy's name, but I don't know. It was just really kind of cool.
So is it subtitled?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was subtitled. I couldn't understand it otherwise.
Well, you're learning Korean, right?
Doesn't mean I know what they're saying. They talk really fast.
Yeah, right. I know. So a couple of them that I watched that people recommended were magicians. One is Keith Berry, and that's Brain Magic. I watched it, and I was like the whole time just going, I don't understand. I don't know. Is it like, are you committing your life to Satan, and that's how you do this? Yeah, it's very baffling and amazing. But seriously, I didn't walk away.
Do they have
going,
juggling
cool.
TED Talks? Because I'd like to see.
You should do one.
I don't juggle that well to be a juggler.
You could do your unicycle and juggle.
I can't do that at the same time.
Oh, you can't?
I can do like one round and then it's over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you're really fast TED Talker.
Be like, la 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 la, dang, I'm done. Be the it's like TED Talk, Vine TED Talks.
Yeah, totally. They should start that.
They totally should start that.
And then Marco Tempest is the other magician I watched, and he used 3 people's iPods from the audience, and again, I'm like the person at the magic show who doesn't understand how anything happened.
That's
it's
me
all
too.
Magic.
I'm like this.
Whereas my husband's like, oh yeah, they totally did that.
No,
like,
oh my word, not me.
Magic.
How did they do that?
Yeah,
Oh my God, they sliced the woman in half.
I know. I am totally that person. So
I fall for it all.
I do too, and so the 2 magician ones I watched were both just astounding, and I don't understand at all, but amazing to watch, and not that long, so totally watchable. Bono did one on the good news on poverty. Did you watch this one?
No.
It is so good. I mean, it's not like gripping and like the most exciting TED Talk I've ever seen, but it's just really uplifting and positive, and yeah.
That's nice. Uplifting and positive is good.
Plus Bono's cool, so there's that.
Is he a good speaker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. I think he's probably more comfortable singing.
I wish he would have sung it. That would have been awesome.
I know, right?
Made up a song about it. Like a Broadway show.
But I think he actually probably speaks a lot because he's like a big humanitarian
He is a huge
and a big
humanitarian.
advocate for
Yeah,
all
I
that
bet
kind
he
of stuff.
does.
So
I bet he does
I'm guessing
speak.
he probably does a lot of speaking. Another one's Seth Godin, which is the guy who my husband did a school with for 6 months in New York, and he's amazing. He's an amazing man. But he does a lot of stuff about marketing, and he does a talk. One of his talks, he does several TED Talks, but one of them is called How to Get Your Ideas to Spread. And he just talks about sliced bread and how when they first, came up with sliced bread, like it was years before it actually
Nobody wanted
took
it.
off until Wonder actually found a way to market it and get it into people's hands and make it accessible. And so that's a really good one. And then Rewild the World is one that somebody recommended. That one was so interesting. I went into it thinking, this is going to be about animals. I'm not really interested in this.
Bear Grylls might show up, and I don't care.
Well, if Bear Grylls showed up.
You're like, I'm there.
That would be different. But no, I was, it's really interesting though, because he talks about how, like he uses the example of when they brought wolves back into Yellowstone and the difference that it made in like the entire ecosystem there. Yeah. Like even the rivers changed, like the way that
interesting.
Amazing. It was so fascinating. This is the one I went into with the least motivation. I was like, okay, animals, planet, here we go. But
like science.
I like animals, don't get me wrong. I have a hairless cat, I have a lot of love. But anyway, so that was really, really a good one. And let's see. Okay, you should talk about that one. Amanda Palmer.
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, it was pretty cool. It's The Art of Asking. She's just basically talking about, how far you can get just by asking. Like, she started out, I don't remember the whole thing.
She's like a punk musician.
Yeah, and she's actually married to Neil Gaiman,
she's
right? So, whom we both really
awesome. Yeah.
like. But yeah, and just how she was talking about, instead of making people pay for music, just let them pay for music. And like I don't know, it's just really a different perspective on the whole music industry and things
and
like
everything.
that.
Like, it's just really interesting, I think, because I think one of the things she talked about, which I thought was interesting, was when you ask them and they're allowed to give to you, it's not only helps you, but it's
helping them too.
You're giving them the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing, which, like I love Kickstarter, and we've supported so many Kickstarter projects because
you feel like you're a part of something rather than, well, here's my money and I guess just give me your CD.
Yeah, so it's really, really awesome. Like Zach Braff did the Kickstarter for the movie that we supported a lot. I'm so excited about it. Anyway, more to come on that later. Okay, so the other one that had several people recommend was Brene Brown, and she is fascinating. Have you seen any of hers? Mm-mm. Well, she did one. I think the first one she did was The Power of Vulnerability, and then the second one was Listen to Shame. And she's a research scientist from what I remember. Now, it's been a long time since I watched this one. And she just started seeing all these patterns and talking about how important it is to be vulnerable in your life and how, anyway, you should just watch those because they're one of those TED Talks that you just go, oh, wow, that's really deep and amazing. Like, it's really powerful. Mm-hmm. So that's one I highly recommend. And then the other one that I really enjoyed and is quite funny and enjoyable is Sean, I guess you say his name, Aker? I don't know. And his is like The Happy Secret to Better Work, I think is what it's called. And he just talks about how your environment and what you have to live, whatever you have to live through and in, has very little to do with your happiness. He said they can only determine how happy you're going to be by your outside circumstances. Like, there's only a 10% chance that they'll get it right. Because it has so much more to do with your internal workings and how you view the world. And he just talked about, like, some really simple things to start to change your perspective to, like, one of the ones he talked about was every day saying 3 things that you're grateful for every single day.
That's a really good idea.
That's a really good thing because he says then it changes your mindset to where you're looking for the good instead of
focusing, because it's so much easier to focus on bad things anyway.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like I just had a wine fest earlier this morning, so yeah.
And you know, like it's easier to do that in life anyway. And when we're looking for the good in things, it just changes our perspective because we're seeing good in everything instead of, like, you know, he talked about the news and how we watch the news and it changes your mindset to think that, because the news is almost all
it's always
negative.
bad and sad.
And so, like,
awful.
if you watch a lot of the news, it changes your mindset to think that that's the ratio of what the world is like. Like, there's this much bad and this much good, you know? But if you actually, you know, kind of step away from that a little bit and start change your perspective, and it's really good. I was like, and see, sometimes when my kids are not getting along very well, I'll just be like, okay, let's all say something really nice about Shay. Okay, what do you guys, you know, what are some really good things about Shay?
That's a really good
How about Anna? What are some really good things about Anna? You know, like, we just go around the table and talk about, like, the good we see in each other because it just shifts your perspective a little bit. So that was a really good one, too. Highly recommend that. So those are the highlights, I guess. That was a lot. Sorry. But I got carried away. I loved them a lot. But it was really, so if you haven't seen TED Talks, you should definitely look into them. Look at their app.
Learn a lot.
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
sure.
fun.
Or get some really good ideas or just motivation.
Yeah,
So,
inspiration and stuff.
Inspiration.
So, yeah, and make sure to look at our Facebook page for the Galaxy Fest contest. And we'll see you next week.